Sean was snoring halfway through. You didn't want to watch it.
Never snored. Never snored.
I watch movies with Sean when he was at his lowest, and he's fine. He's okay.
Sean was so happy. He's just like,
wait. What do you mean my lowest?
Yeah, dude, I'll never forget that Deadpool experience where you're just like, excuse me, can I talk to the manager here? It's hot. Oh God, this is ridiculous.
He was. He's like, I think he was pushing for a free drink, but he didn't.
No,
he never
it was 110 in that theater. It was 110. It was so hot. Doing this.
It's so hot, and I'm empty of my drink.
All right, let's get into the movie here. Welcome to the premiere episode of season 6 of 3.5 Gentlemen, the podcast where 3 of the 4 hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies from our private collections, while one of us tries desperately to keep up. We'll let you decide which host is which, but for now, my name is Sean, and with me, as always, are my co-astronauts, Jeremiah.
You're the ghost of your own children's future, yo. What up?
Eddie.
Our greatest accomplishments cannot be behind us, because our destiny lies above us.
Ooh. And Brandon.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Ooh, I feel Zimmer's score behind me when I heard that right there. Ooh.
I'm happy that we all chose one.
As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question. How many drinks does it take to get through the film that we just watched? Now, at the end of the podcast, we'll rate each episode based on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being the perfect episode that you could watch stone cold sober, and 5 being sort of the episode that makes you feel as though your family and your friends have grown old and died while you stay the same age, because of quantum mechanics or the theory of relativity.
Anytime something falls in your house, you question it now, I bet.
It's you in the future.
Everything. Absolutely everything.
Well, so you like your horror movies. Anyway.
I do.
Listen, in 2067, Earth is all but uninhabitable because of a global crop issue, famine, and the emergence of a second dust bowl. NASA pilot Cooper must travel through wormholes and face black holes in outer space in order to find a habitable planet to save humanity. This 2014 Christopher Nolan epic stars Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, Matt Damon, and Michael Caine. I haven't yet put the name of the movie yet, apparently, because Sean did the first go through. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at Interstellar, which is Christopher Nolan's film.
I don't know. I retroactively get blamed when I didn't write it. I didn't have anything to do with this script. I didn't have anything to do with the script.
Even there.
The script is all you, buddy. It is all. I did not have anything to do with it.
We're already
hey, somebody's a ghost here.
How many lines are we down already?
Oh, God. Whatever new listeners we got, we just lost them. Anyway, Interstellar, the movie that we're going to be talking about today, has an IMDb rating of 8.7 out of 10 and has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 72% with the critics and an audience score of 87%. Shockingly, surprisingly, we'll talk about it.
You know what? You forgot Casey Affleck and also Timothy
Chalamet.
Yeah. You forgot Wes Bentley. Come on, Wes Bentley was awesome.
Oh, he's got the most beautiful eyes. My God, that guy.
He's got a great beard, dude.
He's got a great jawline. I want
enough about Wes Bentley. Let's move on.
I feel like going surfing with him. Anyways, so we try and pair our movies or series with a cocktail that we hope will enhance our viewing experience. Tonight, the cocktail we are enjoying is called Interstellar. The ingredients and description can be found on our Instagram page, where you can also find fun facts, images, trailers, and clips from our podcast.
It's good that he put the title of the film in the drink portion, but not in the what movie are we reviewing portion.
So what's our Instagram page?
Once again, you wrote the script, and the Instagram is @the.gentleman. The dot means a lot. @the.gentleman. And if you're listening to us on any platform podcasts are available, we thank you so much, and we invite you over to our YouTube channel where you can find videos of our new episodes, plus our Gentleman Weekly discussions. Again, head on over to YouTube, ring that bell, subscribe, and we'll remind you at the end of the podcast as well. This is new for us. We're on video. You can see our bright and shining faces and Ed's lack of light, and we can move on.
Looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. He's going to an abyss right there,
All right, so let's talk about Interstellar. 2014, Christopher Nolan's offering, just re-released on Netflix. If you guys are looking for a place to watch it, you can always pause our episode right here and go watch it on the Netflix. It's number 5 in the movies as of today.
Come right back.
In the top 10.
Oh, and don't forget, you can actually watch it on IMAX. It actually grossed like the most highest like grossing for IMAX re-release movies. So it's kicking ass in the cinema 10 years later.
Which is actually a little shocking because I kind of went into this movie. I had never seen it. So when you guys said, let's do Interstellar, I was like, yes, I love Christopher Nolan. This was right after he came off of, I think, Dark Knight Rises. So he had just done the Batman trilogy. He just did Prestige. He just did Inception. He was on this roll, and this movie just kind of, I never sat down to watch it. I have no idea why, but it was just never on my radar. And so I was really excited to sit down and take a look.
What I think is really interesting is that last season 5, we started with a Christopher Nolan film, and I don't know if anybody has remembered that, but we got a Eddie. What was our score with
Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer, yeah. What was that?
It was almost a perfect movie.
Almost a 0. I don't think we're going to be getting that here. And an Eddie.
And a little 25.
That's what we call it. We call it an Eddie at this point.
I personally think Interstellar is way better than Oppenheimer. So I disagree.
Get the hell out of
here. Interesting. Okay, so let's start with Jeremy. You had obviously seen this movie.
Yeah. Can I say this is probably one of his least popular movies to audiences, which I don't really understand, but I do get it, I think it's found another kind of like, a generation of just people really appreciating it. And I think it has to do with Hans Zimmer's score, because I think hands down, this might be his greatest score. And I just wanted to hear what you guys think about what he did with the score, because I think he knocked it out of the park. And when I think of Hans Zimmer, I think of Interstellar. It's in every single reel, every single post. I think it's found a new life. And then what do you guys think? Do you think this is his best score, or do you think his other work is better? Because I think this is it right here.
So I'm going to disagree. A couple episodes ago, I think we did it last season or the season before, I stuck my flag in Gladiator. Gladiator to me is the best score that Hans Zimmer ever came up with. I think that, and the reason for that, I think is kind of what I said about Star Wars with John Williams a couple episodes ago, that if you look at the whole collection of music right from that film, I think that Gladiator has a better collection of music, though I think that the one song that we hear everywhere, the theme, that single song, that single piece on the organ is beautiful, and that might be his greatest song, but I don't think it's his best score overall. Does that make sense? But that being said,
I hear what you're saying.
Emotionally, that when you have the build that he creates with that song, and it's all through that organ and that just pulse pounding kind of acceleration of our hearts. I mean, that's the song's power, and that definitely, I think, saves a pretty lackluster film. I think that the music definitely will give this better scores from us than we would have gotten if we got just a standard run-of-the-mill score.
Bro, what do you think?
So I kind of agree with you, Jeremiah, and I appreciate what Brandon was saying, because I was thinking it's between this and Gladiator. Now, what I've noticed is that what gave this movie some legs recently is social media, is TikTok, is Instagram, it's everything. How you post everything. People use Hans Zimmer's this everything they use in this. Yeah. Everything you hear, you could just type it in and you'll just see amazing things that just make you cry. It is the soundtrack
of TikTok.
It's a soundtrack of this new generation. It sounds like, personally, and that's where I think long term. Gladiator probably got a little lost because it was probably ours growing up. If we had something, we would use Gladiator. It's this next generation that they're using Interstellar, and that's what's making Interstellar sound. It's like it's the top dog for Hans Zimmer. But if you look at all his work, he always has a main song in every movie. I personally like this. This is my favorite for Hans Zimmer personally. Gladiator's number 2, so this is 1 and 2 for me.
I got something to add to that, but I want to hear what Sean thinks.
So I recently watched the John Williams documentary on Disney Plus, and I saw his studio. And his studio at home is basically a piano, a piece of paper, and he writes down every note that he wants to arrange in this magnum opus of a complex and many themed movie. That is not Hans Zimmer. I saw Hans Zimmer's studio, and it was basically a keyboard and a bunch of synthesizers and new age equipment and the ability to. So I
analogs
think,
everywhere.
Yeah, it's just incredible. But I don't think you could compare someone like necessarily straight up John Williams versus someone like Hans Zimmer, because John Williams has these complex themes that run through trilogies and Batman, Dark Knight, they all have kind of one theme that is surging and swelling the whole movie. And I think this is what Hans Zimmer does beautifully, is that he takes a single theme and he swells it and quiets it and changes it and uses these different instruments as you go through this movie. And you have this wonderful, almost like a sea of music that never is really stopping, but never really starts. You can't say that, oh, that's the beginning of the theme, because the theme is always swelling up from nothing. And I think this theme from Interstellar is fabulous. I think it's one of his absolute best, but I think it's a shame not to mention Pirates of the Caribbean. Because Pirates of the Caribbean, to me, that is something that I will live in my head and my heart for almost ever. I think that the stuff that he did earlier in his career, like when he did Pirates of the Caribbean, when he did movies like August Rush and The Prestige, and he's done some stuff.
He didn't do The Prestige.
Huh?
He didn't do The Prestige. That was one of his. He didn't get a chance to do that.
He was
unfortunately.
So on The Prestige, he was the executive music producer. So
got it.
Whatever that is, I think he controlled a lot of the. I think he controls a lot of the.
I'm pretty sure he had his finger on that.
Yeah.
It's like no, don't do that.
But I mean, even like Sherlock Holmes, he's got this style that comes out of nowhere and it hits you over the head, and it's so beautiful. I think from a strict theme, this rivals John Murphy. This rivals, a lot of the great themes in cinematic history. And I will say I like this better than Gladiator, just from a technical standpoint.
Got it.
Yeah.
I read something about Nolan. He told Zimmer to really throw out the rule book about composing, and he said that scrap the big drums and the big horns and the strings and create something new. And what I think he created was something that was timeless. And I think it will last forever. I think this is, when you think about it, and because maybe the film represents the same kind of format, I think this is our generation's Space Odyssey 2001 Space Odyssey.
100%.
I feel like this music is our generation of that particular style here. I think he was able to do something pretty amazing.
And I think that we need to take that and run with it, because that's what I saw. So, Sean, you were saying this is your first time seeing this movie. I saw it in theaters. I walked out of it completely disappointed. I still ran out the day that it was released and bought it on DVD because it's part of my Nolan collection.
Yeah.
But to me, and this is no spoiler for my score, this is my least favorite Christopher Nolan, hands down, because to me, this is on a story and character level, and I'm just talking story and character level. This is his sloppiest, most I'm going to say lazy effort in story and character. And I'll explain that more later on. But what he's done is he's seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, and he said, I want to create that. I want to create my version of that, where it doesn't need to have coherence. It needs to evoke emotion in a non traditional format, right? His point isn't to make us give a shit about the characters. We don't really care about the characters except for one scene. And we need to talk about that one scene. And that is when he comes back from the planet and he's hearing from Casey Affleck at that point. And it's kind of the scene that we always see, kind of the classic scene where he's having the breakdown. It's one of the best acting that Matthew McConaughey's ever done. But on a whole, I feel the same way about this movie as I do with 2001. It's a movie that I respect, but I can't enjoy. Though this one is much more enjoyable than 2001. Eddie?
So I disagree with you. I feel like there's so much into the characters. I personally just think I don't know. I feel like it's everything you said. I feel like I disagree with. And I understand if you just don't understand quantum mechanics, but I feel like this is a different type of movie.
It's beneath me, Eddie. That's what the problem is.
You had your part, You had your part,
I'm in the sixth dimension.
Tars. Okay, calm it down. Okay, so I feel like you were searching for something, and this is the movie that I felt like it was very. It kept it simple in my eyes, with a story that was it was to save mankind. Like, well, it comes down to that. And so
the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, the ultimate sacrifice. And how do you not feel any sadness for everyone? Like the first world they visited, or not the world, the first planet they visited, it's an hour or 7 years, and that was like, a little shaky, like 7 years.
Actually,
ago.
that's not quantum physics. That's relativity, Ed, but whatever.
Time. So it makes you think. Like I was very understanding. Every person there in the astronaut, they were losing something for even being on this trip. Like, and they were there for something. They were to save mankind. So I personally disagree with you. Like I felt like there was a lot of passion there of what they were there for.
I'll add to something what you're saying about that, bro. I saw something like Christopher Nolan said that Interstellar is about what it means to be a dad. And then I also read something about what Zimmer and what Nolan wrote to Zimmer about, when you write the music. It said, once we become parents, we can't help but look at ourselves through the eyes of our children. And I think Eddie's right. It's about the ultimate sacrifice. And there's a lot of that theme into this movie where, what you do for love, I hear. And I think that actually shows a lot into this movie.
And I think that theme, above all other themes in the movie, came through. I just don't think it was executed quite as well as other movies have done that. I mean, honestly, I know you guys shit all over Armageddon, but essentially it's the same plot. And essentially, they're going up into the space to save mankind. In this movie, they're finding a new planet going through a black hole and using quantum mechanics and blah blah blah. The other one, they're drilling on a asteroid. But at the same time, I felt more emotional connection between Liv Tyler and Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck in that movie, and the sacrifices made there. And maybe that's because I didn't feel like there was that many sacrifices made. I feel like almost that Matthew McConaughey should have been trapped in the fifth dimension. He should have been able to watch his kids grow and live, but never be able to interact again, because that's the sacrifice he made. The fact that he actually got back and then went back again, it kind of diminished.
Find the love of his life.
It kind of diminished the whole, to me, it diminished the whole thing. It's like, I think that part of being a father is that there are things that you have to do for your children. I'm not a father, so I'll disclaim that right away. But part of being a father, I believe, is that you have to do things that are sacrificial that your children may or may not understand. And just because they don't understand doesn't mean that they're not necessary to do. And those necessary things can create animus, and they can create angst, and they can create all this problem between father and son or father and daughter, but still the thing needs to be done. And that's what I wanted this movie to be. And so when he made it back, I felt like it was cheapened. I felt like and then and then Palpatine returned, and then he was back. Like, that's how I kind of felt. But that's I can be wrong.
Lost. He lost. Matthew McConaughey lost it. He lost his family.
Probably it is a paradox of a movie then, right?
Well, no, because here's the thing, and I want to put this disclaimer up, is that I talked to one of our most devoted fans, and said and promised this listener that I was going to take season 6 and I was going to find joy in life and I was going to find happiness. And to Sean's mom, I'm not going to find it right now with this movie, so I'm sorry. It'll happen maybe eventually. But here's my problem.
She did tell me about who she thought was the half gentleman, and it wasn't me.
It wasn't like you. Just family dinner.
Just because of White Christmas, I screwed that one. But listen, I want to say this. I would understand, Jer and Ed, I would understand 100% what you're trying to say, not succeeding, if when he returns, we didn't have this Murph is an old lady. They have this moment, and she doesn't just be like, "Oh, hey, it's been 100 years since I've seen you. Go off and find her. Go off and find." Like, there was that build up moment that we were supposed to have this reuniting feeling of climactic. We didn't get that, and I just have this one other bone to pick, and then Sean, I want you to unleash the dog.
You didn't get that.
No, here it is. Eddie, you said something that could not be further from the truth. Like literally, you're here. This is where you're at in space.
Everything you're saying is further from the truth. You're stuck in 1999.
It's right here. No, that's all the good movies.
You're stuck
No,
in
here's what I'm
Gladiator
saying.
for some reason.
You said that the love of his life. When do we ever see any kind of connection between the two of them? When he sacrifices himself? Because honestly, if we're going to say that is a love story, that is the weakest love story. And he is so damn lucky that Edmonds died, which we don't even know why he died or how he died or how long it's been, because honestly, he was about to go crash and be the third wheel in a really awkward relationship, since there's only two people on the gosh darn planet, Ed.
So then we can all, so then Tars, you can agree with me that you can meet the love of your life when you're dating someone else without even knowing that the love of your life is this next person sending nets to you.
In a movie, we need some context. I agree with you. No, hold on. I agree with you in life. I agree with you in life, but in the movie, I need it. I need a little bit. I need a little bit of exposition. I need a little bit of something.
What movie you guys are watching?
This one. I'm gonna rewrite this movie for a minute.
Post Planet. This is your first time watching this, so I don't know if you have much value.
That's what Sean does. Let Sean be Sean.
So I wish that he had gone back and landed on Earth. Even if he did all the fifth dimension stuff, and even if he put the thing in the watch and all the confusing shit that happened at the end, I wish that he would have landed on Earth and it was decimated and completely alone. And there was like a plinth or something, like there was something there, and it was his daughter. And his daughter said, "Well, Dad, we made it. We got to the space station that we built." And then he makes a decision because he's so removed from that world. Then he makes a decision to go back to the black hole, to Miller's planet. But that is the type of thing
watch that movie.
That's the type of thing that I want. I want someone to take these risks. And Christopher Nolan usually takes these massive risks. And I felt like this one was like, okay, so we had the spinning top and everyone got pissed off. So we're not going to really take this risk like we did with Inception. And, I felt like it was almost too much of a happy ending. And that's coming from me. I love a happy ending. Ask Brandon. I love a happy ending.
They're not on Earth anymore. So they technically, Matthew McConaughey lost. What they did, they went out there, they didn't find another planet.
They didn't find another planet.
So technically it's not a happy ending. He lost his whole family.
Planet. They found Brand's planet.
They're going to go back
after he lost his daughter, his son.
He lost his family before he left.
It's a sad ending.
Before he left.
The whole movie's a sad movie.
No, he knew he lost his family the moment he got into that space shuttle and left Earth through the black hole. You knew that you were never going to see your family again, or at least you had a pretty good idea that you were never going to see your family again.
He had an idea he was going to find his family. The problem was that Plan A was never actually Plan A. Plan A was actually Plan B, and he wasn't aware of that. So it was a kind of slippery slope. I don't understand what movie you guys are watching. Like you guys are like, oh, there's a love story. The love story was between the love between him and his daughter.
Oh, for sure.
No
Anne Hathaway.
There was no Anthony. I didn't see any romantic connection or anything. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Eddie, well, don't say guys. It's Guy, and it's Eddie / Dr. Man.
The love of his life. The love of his life was his daughter.
He went back for the love of his life. He went back to this new earth.
But Jeremiah, at the end of the movie, Murph is laying in the bed, and she says, "Go back to the love of your life," which is Anne Hathaway. And he gets in the spaceship and goes to the black hole again.
She's out there.
He says, "Go back and find the planet. Find the planet that you can actually help our space station, this giant space station,
and recreate
life." That's the whole thing. Like they're trying to find that planet.
And why show Edmonds
they can actually
to say that there's room for him?
Can somebody explain something to me seriously though? Okay, let's say that these four people get to a planet that's inhabitable through the wormhole, and they, the data wasn't faked. Let's say the data was real. How on earth were they going to repopulate the population if the time differential between those planets and the home planet was so vastly different?
Well, that's the point. That's why Plan A was never viable.
So they also had all the cells. They were going to repopulate.
It was a whole bunch of sperm and eggs in that.
So they had wombs. So we're assuming that they could womb humans.
2067.
2067 is a long way away.
we're talking about it's 42 years, and you think about it, Brandon, you and I would be 81.
About, like, future humans creating the wormhole and
so basically we're in the Matrix.
We have future humans that we can actually do things. Yeah.
The main thing is they have definitely DNA available. They have DNA available, and then it's the possibility of still keeping humankind finding the planet.
And we're just supposed to assume, and I'm not shitting on it, I'm just saying we're just supposed to assume that if
we're not assuming anything.
If the planet, can I finish? Can I finish, please?
Well, you're saying assuming. We're not assuming.
I'm
accepting.
We're on the spaceship with them.
If you let me finish my sentence, Ed, then
we'll find a different word in this.
Keep drinking more Interstellar.
Yeah. So we have to assume that if they got to the planet that was supposed to work and the data actually worked, that they could reproduce humankind on that planet, because that was plan B, without anybody from the original Earth. Is that correct?
Yes, 100%
Is that the correct assumption for the premises of this movie?
No, it's an acceptance. We have to accept that.
It was not.
It's beyond
assumption. So how are they getting the power? How are they getting the people from Earth to this new planet, Brand's planet or Miller's planet or whatever?
They weren't.
So plan A and plan B was supposed to work together.
No, they weren't.
So can I finish? I had you. So it was honestly Michael Caine was going to figure out how to with gravity, right? They were going to try to figure out a way to survive and get everyone off the planet. At the same time, Coop and Hathaway, they had to go find another planet. So there were two different projects at the same time rolling, and then hopefully mankind was able to get off Earth. At the same time, Coop was able to find a new planet. So this is two different projects going. That's what I took it as.
Because Murph was successfully able to solve the gravity.
Yeah, for Michael Crane's project, his whole life.
It's Caine. It's Caine. There's no R.
Michael Caine. Michael Caine.
I guess.
Which allowed the launch of a space station to build more colonies and shit like that.
I guess here's my problem with this whole concept, okay? So we know to a T how many humans it would take to reproduce mankind and get it flourishing. Not that many people, like 25 people, like not that many people. So why wouldn't you have I guess that's the hole in the plot that I'm looking for, is have them in cryo, send them in a pod, but just mention the fact that once the colony has been established, this is how we're going to repopulate the planet. We're going to have these 20 people, and I'm not going to make this huge leap. Is that a better word? Huge leap that they have the scientific ability in 2067, which is 40 years from today. We still don't have hoverboards from Back to the Future. We still don't have fucking flying cars. We have very little things. All we have is the doors that whoosh.
On top of that, you can get behind oil workers to go on an astronaut and actually,
Thank you.
So you can get on top of that.
You can get behind a whole galaxy with lightsabers. And with
that is fantasy, my friends. That is fantasy. Those movies purport to be fantasy. This movie, as Eddie said, brought the science with it. So don't be telling me that this isn't. This is insane. You said brought the science with it.
There's no science to it. It's just a theory of what you're saying is a possibility. But you're trying to make sense of something.
It's talking about the fifth dimension here, Sean.
Eddie and Jared, I'm going to back you guys up.
It's talking about bending time a little bit.
Eddie and Jared, I'm going to back you guys up for a second. So, Sean, they do explain that there are embryos in there. That is what Plan B is to repopulate. They say it, but here's the problem. And I'm on their side, Sean, just a second, and I'm jumping back to our side, and that is an underlined our, you and me, finally. So here it is. It is so buried but below the avalanche of abstract quantum physics and theories of relativity. And guess what? This is a great
film. Did you take
film.
that class at school?
Yes, I did. So it's a great film taking a textbook and making it into a film. It takes the theory of relativity and it explains it in a way that I think is pretty graspable. This idea that where there's more gravity, time slows, which then affects everything else. So that's what Einstein's theory of relativity was basically saying, and then Stephen Hawking took it and just expanded with it. Right. So we got that. But here's my problem. Is not the story in this point. It is the storytelling. And this is me criticizing who I think is one of the gods of film. Christopher Nolan was sloppy with this movie because if you look at the way in which he presents the information, to me, this movie is nothing but just him going through a checklist and basically checking off all the different kind of emotional sound bites that he needs to hit. right? There is absolutely no coherence by the end of the movie. Nothing is matching up. We have almost this I'm going to say a music video.
What's not matching up? What's not matching up? I wonder what's not matching up. You're saying that. So what's not matching up?
Okay, you just have to say it once and I'll tell you. But here's the deal, Ed. Here's the deal. The entire purpose of this man, of Cooper, is to go and return back to his daughter, right? And that is what we're building up towards. And as soon as he gets there, it's a 2-minute conversation where they pat each other on the hand, and he goes off and is sent away. And then here's the thing: we have her giving this voiceover about humanity, and we've got her giving this whole purpose of him finding the love of his life, essentially, right? Which makes no sense. That all we get is just we're trying to get the feels. That's all Christopher Nolan's doing. Is he's saying, I want to get the feels from the viewer.
I'll build on what Brandon's saying, because here's my criticism is for some foolish reason, I thought the whole purpose of their mission was to basically save mankind. Whether it was plan A or plan B, I get the twist. I get that he falsified the data. Once again, that damn
Dr. Man. Matt Damon.
That damn Matt Damon and his stupid face.
Matt Damon, Dr. Man.
I understand that he fudged the data so that they would come and collect him. I get all of that point. What I don't understand is what happened to mankind. It was very unclear to me whether they built a space station, that's what I believe they did, but it was not really explained to me. Cooper Station, they said, but Cooper Station. So also, is Cooper his last name or his first name? And is his name Cooper's
his first name.
No, it's last name. It's his last name. It was because it says it was named after Dr. Murphy Cooper.
Cooper's first name.
You don't even know your movie, man.
So okay. All right, Eddie. So if Cooper is his first name, then how can
Cooper? That's all that matters.
No. So how can Cooper Station be named after Dr. Murphy?
Who is this?
Cooper Station.
It was named after his daughter.
The daughter wanted it to be named after the dad.
So you don't know.
And it would have been named after him.
The daughter said.
Making shit up. Anyway,
you're making shit up too.
No, I'm not.
You're not letting me talk.
I'm going to the Google.
It's a space station. The Earth is falling apart. They can't live there anymore. What's so hard about that?
So what happened? What happened to mankind?
When Cooper came back, they're in this fucking big ass cylinder out in space, and they're waiting for the.
How much of them? How many of them? How did they survive?
Google told me that Cooper is his last name.
Sean.
Last name. Thanks, Google.
Right?
Oh, wait,
what?
You're picking apart on these little things like how many people survive or anything like that. The main part is humanity survive. It didn't matter the population or anything like that. The whole thing is the reason why it was named after Cooper is because he's the one that was able to actually define the law.
His last name. Cooper's last name.
See, the daughter used also Cooper, who was in the fifth dimension.
He says, "Oh, it's nice of the words that he uses. Oh, it's nice of you to name a station after me." And they laugh in his face and say, "It's actually after your daughter."
And if you look at the plaque, it says Dr. Brand and Dr. Cooper. But here's wait. No, I've got to wait.
There's a part at the very end when she's old lady and she's like.
But there's no problem because she's the one that figured out the gravity equation.
So her name is Murphy Cooper.
Yeah. So let's not get hung up on. I got a question. I got a Jeremy question.
I'm trying to understand, where are you coming from, Sean? You know that she figured it out and basically she saved humanity. But
so is his name Cooper?
That's
my question.
Shit.
I care.
You're trying to find things here.
That's so much small shit. It seems like you're
No,
I'm
not.
There's
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Solve the answer with how many people survive.
Here's why. Here's why that bothers me. Because usually Christopher Nolan is 3 steps ahead of everyone, and I believe in this movie he wasn't. I think that he was very.
I believe he was.
That's fine. You can have that opinion.
He was. I think
that he has a lazy storytelling. I think that the fact that he went for the love of his life without any exposition, he gets back to a quote unquote space station that we get no information about. We don't know anything about other than it's taking her 2 weeks to get there. From where? I assume from Earth. I don't know where she's coming from. She's 2 weeks away. Where is she? Is anyone? Nobody cares about that. So there's another station. There's no evidence or explanation of anything that happened. So basically, what I get from this movie is they had plan A that was fake. They had plan B, which is basically fake wombs and recreating mankind through the black hole. And then they had plan C, which is Murphy.
That's all we're having right now.
I don't even know what the hell we're talking about, Ed, at this point.
There's a TikTok theory where this guy said that you're probably even looking at Cooper's journey to the afterlife, because in the beginning of the film, you see an aircraft crashing in and he wakes up, right? It's the same image.
No, don't give me that bullshit.
Of the aircraft. I'm just saying, dude.
You believe other bullshit, and I like that theory too.
So let me. I want to give a hypothetical question. Yeah, you go,
Brandon. You said that Nolan, he has his images and he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Normally,
why would he show that right there in the beginning?
Yes.
Why would he show the same image of the same aircraft crashing into Miller's planet? And this is what this TikTok was saying, that you're probably looking at the journey into the afterlife of Cooper.
No, that is the same. That makes the movie a lot better.
But no, that pisses me off.
Nolan doesn't miss the mark. So it makes me feel like someone else is not understanding the movie.
Tenet, miss the mark in Tenet.
No, actually, I'm going to say
bad pacing.
I'm going to say, no, Tenet to me is a far superior movie to this one. It is, and I will stand by that. No, here's the thing. If that's the case, and that's crap. It's kind of like that whole, he woke up at the end of the movie and it was all a dream. I hope to God it's not that. Here's my hypothetical question that I want to throw out to you guys, because this is something that, Jerry, you love these little hypothetical questions that you pose to us. So I'm going to give you one. Ready? Would you have rather had the movie fully focus on Cooper's character and not flash back and go back to Earth? So basically get rid of Jessica Chastain's character, get rid of Topher Grace. God, by the way, can we get a throw out to Topher Grace and how great it is to see him out there and acting?
But didn't you want to know what happened on Earth? That's what you guys wanted.
I don't really give a crap about find out what happened on Earth. We didn't get any resolution.
I think the movie would have been.
Brandon's saying take it all over away and just completely take them away.
I would have much rather had some resolution on Earth about what happened after she threw the papers up, and like, oh look, and it doesn't take that long to do. And maybe I'm a dumb audience viewer. Maybe I am the problem with film, but I want a little bit of. And this is what happened, because I feel like if you did, and this is what happened, and mankind survived. Like, I love even just like on Earth, a decimated Earth with a single plant growing, like, and life survived. And, just like something that wasn't just so like, oh, by the way, the girl that you met 45 minutes ago or an hour and 45 minutes ago, and you really didn't have any chemistry with and really didn't have any actually 4 lines with, she's the love of your life. Go back through a black hole and find her. Like, that just didn't do it for me.
I missed that part. I've seen this movie so many times. I missed that part where you did miss that part. Go and get that girl. I know. I must have missed. I'm not even paying attention to that part.
No, I'm sorry. It's there.
It's there. I mean, that's what they're saying. Right.
It's to possibly say that just Anne Hathaway, that the planet that she's on is actually the best planet.
The water planet, right?
Yeah. No, she's not on the wave planet. She's on a different planet.
She's on Edmund's
planet.
Sorry.
And this whole time, so then this whole time there's this, like Cooper, he made it back to technically base. Right. And Murph was just like, you don't need to stay here. I knew your life. And, you got back to me like you promised, even though it took fucking 55 extra years and you promised me
100 years.
But you took it extra time. You got back here. And it just shows like, I saved my promise as a parent. I was able to get back to you. But then the Murph was just like, well, you know what? Go save humanity again. Find that other planet that, that she possibly could be on. What else are you going to do? Like, fucking go back out there.
But you're assuming facts and evidence. They said go get the girl. They didn't say go save humanity. They said go get the girl.
Go watch the end again.
It's Anne Hathaway, right? And she's on the planet without her fucking helmet.
Save the girl.
And she's just
save
like,
the person.
I'm with you. I just
needed
a little bit more. I just needed.
It just isn't.
So they know what Edmund's planet is. That's A. Right? And right now, Cooper's the only one that actually survived the 5th dimension. So he's an awesome fucking pilot. Okay. So this is his 3rd go around, it seems like. So what's so hard to believe that he could technically find his path to Edmund's planet where Anne Hathaway's at?
I have no doubt that he did.
And bring everyone on this fucking cylinder. Hey, come over here. It might be 55 years, but
Eddie, I have no problem with anything you're saying if it was in the movie. If
it was
he
the end of the movie.
No,
it's all
if he
hypothetical.
left,
Humanity.
if he
It's all
left,
hypothetical.
if he left, and the last shot of the movie was, and the rest of humanity embarked to find Edmund's planet through the black hole. End of movie. Christopher Nolan. Done. I'm in. But there was no exposition. There was no explanation. What was left of humanity, the dregs of humanity. Once again, I love the idea of end of the world movies. I love the idea of an arc, which this is it. This is the arc, right? Is you're putting in, do they put in their best and the brightest? Do they put in the children? Like, I just give me some context that is valuable. That's all I'm asking for.
I got a question
I feel
before.
I feel like it's love.
Okay.
It's love. It's a little bit about love. How powerful is love? Anne Hathaway talks about how she talks about love a little bit. How somehow we're just all drawn to it without knowing the real meaning behind it. That somebody could feel the same thing on the other side that you don't even know, but it's you just feel it.
I hear you. So can we talk about Dr. Mann? And I'm not talking about Eddie, who that's his cute little name he named himself. Can we talk about Matt Damon's character?
I really enjoyed this movie. However, I always felt, personally for me, that the movie just jumps off the track with when we see Dr. Mann. I don't really like this part of the film. I don't think it needed it. That's just my opinion, or something like that. Like,
I agree with you.
Oh my God, it's Matt Damon. That's just my opinion. I just feel like it went to its own movie, and it barely got back to where we needed to go to finish the last third act. And that's just my opinion. I have never really liked this part with Dr. Mann. I think it just was never something that
it shows you. I feel like it shows you it shows you a big. Dr. Mann was supposed to be the brightest of all of the astronauts that he talked about, right? That's what Matthew McConaughey. I get it. Yeah. So I was saying, Dr. Mann, it just shows you that when in doubt, when push comes to shove, and it's about to be death, he will do it. It shows you humanity. Will be like a fucking rat. Yeah, we'll be like a rat. We'll do whatever it takes to survive.
The betrayal of mankind. Yes, I totally get it.
Betrayal of mankind. And it's an ugly piece of it. I agree, because it showed the ugly piece of humanity.
I don't mean to just pick on Matt Damon, because you know how I feel about Matt Damon. But once again, I think the role is miscast. I think that someone like Adrian Brody, someone who could be calm. Matt Damon just has a real hard time just relaxing. He's always moving around. He's always doing something. Just fucking sit there. Because I would love to have, in this movie particularly, an analytical conversation that they tried to have about the future of humanity. Not an emotional one. Not, oh my God, I want to get back to my daughter. Not, oh my God, I falsified the data. But an analytical conversation of how to actually save mankind. And I would have rather this. I would almost rather a great actor, someone like Ray Fiennes, or someone who has just the acting chops
I can get behind that right there,
to go back with Michael Caine and to have an actual conversation in a dark room by a fireplace about the future of mankind, and then fast forward so that you actually have that. You have the both sides argument of why you have to lie. Sometimes, there's a great line in, I believe it's U.S. Marshals or The Fugitive, and it's spoken by Tommy Lee Jones. And he says, a person is smart and intelligent. People are stupid. People together are emotional and stupid and make bad decisions. A person individually can be very smart, but when you get them together in a room, they do stupid shit. That's why we don't have majority rule anymore, because it doesn't work. And so sometimes you need calm minds to go into a situation and plot out the future of mankind like they did in this movie. And it's harsh and horrible, and sometimes bad decisions, or not bad decisions, but hard decisions have to be made. But I wish that had been the core of Dr. Mann. And I think they tried to do that, but I think it was washed away by Matt Damon's whiny, emotional approach to every role he takes.
I agree, man. It's not my favorite scene in the movie. Like, it takes this amazing sequence to go into the black hole and get back on track, and the sacrifices, and it just completely puts you in a fucking like, whoa, what's going on here? Where are we in this cube, fifth dimension and whatnot? It just, I never liked that part.
I think they did it to have, and granted, this is to me one of the most intense moments in cinema. I will give you, in all of movies, when they're doing the docking and he has to match the rotation. Yeah. That one's intense. And you talk about the music playing in, and that's what bothers me about this, is that you see Christopher Nolan being Christopher Nolan throughout this movie, right? The infamous crying scene where he's watching the video. That is such a Christopher Nolan moment. It hits you in the feels. It is on an emotional level, on a character level, beautiful. You have the cinematography and the cinematic grandeur of the rotating
Gorgeous
docking
movie.
scene. Music, the visuals.
Yeah.
I mean, cinematographically, this is unbelievable. The Icelandic filming location is beautiful. It looks otherworldly. It looks different and crazy. And the tidal waves, even though that to me is just cinema or Hollywood being Hollywood, with they escaped a 2,000-foot wave crashing down. That makes no sense that they'd be able to do that. But you know what? It is Hollywood being Hollywood, and I'll get behind it. Right. But the docking scene is great. I think, honestly, as weird as it sounds, I think they wanted to get to that point. I think Nolan's, when they wrote this, the brothers wanted to get to that point. It's like, how can we have this dip into the bottom, second act, and then springboard into this really fast-paced climactic moment?
Could you imagine the betrayal? So I think back to the betrayal of Deep Impact. That's an old movie. That's probably 1998. Yeah. Okay. And the betrayal is that they actually convinced people that there was a lottery to save mankind.
We kind of got that in this movie. It's kind of fucked up that the Professor Bram planted the seeds, so to say, to all the Earth leaders working together and kind of making this lie in order to save humanity.
But that's my point, is that's what's required. Because the stakes are so high, that is what's required, an analytical approach of convincing people of the lie to save humanity. Because if they had it up to them, they would have all perished. Everyone would be dead.
So this is a movie that I also feel like it touched in a different aspect of. It dived a little bit deeper into black holes and wormholes, right? Like, we haven't been there yet. So it touched really into that with like a different dimension. No one could understand that next type of a movie that was like, you know what, let's dive into this next. Like, what happened if we go to the black hole? I feel like personally, it hit the mark there. I read many different posts saying theoretically it was pretty accurate of what we're expecting. It's so like physically, for that to be. Yeah, for that to hit like in 2014, it made me feel like, okay, like it was who knows what could happen? Like, is it a time travel? Is it something that is a whole nother galaxy? Like, it's interesting where this movie is just like, it's possible to touch into that next dimension.
Not only what you're saying, which is brilliant, but it's also how we perceive it, right? So our brain, the human brain, presents things to ourselves in ways that we can understand it. So you've heard of this dissonance, cognitive dissonance, where there's what you're seeing or what you're experiencing, you make sense of, even though it's unexplainable and different. Like, your brain has this trick where it plays on you and it puts it in categories that you understand. And so I like the idea. I loved the scene with him in that weird book, the weird library. The Fifth Dimension, where that's how he was perceiving space and time, because that's what made sense to him. It was older books and newer books, older scenes and newer scenes, flashbacks and flash forwards. It made sense to him, but who knows if that's the same as what any of us would have experienced or any other person.
That would have been pretty cool to see that more of a explanation. Like, everyone has their own Tesseract,
Right, yeah.
What Cooper looks like is going through these books or something like that. Maybe someone else has a different way to explore the fifth dimension or something like that. That would have been really cool to look more into that. I agree with you if that's what you're kind of going about. Like, that would have been really cool to see there.
I love the fact that this is on a physics scientific level. And I don't know physics besides just what I've gathered, right?
Shit went way over my head.
It is. And it's funny, I guess, that from the time that this movie first came out and I first saw it to now, I've always been fascinated in physics because it's something I've never been able to truly grasp. So I've tried to understand it to the best of my knowledge. And I know that I can't. I got 0.5% of understanding it. But I love the fact that it takes something as complex as physics and it provides it to us in a way that explains it somewhat. And it gives us as good of an idea of physics and, quantum theory. I mean, it's not really quantum theory, it's relativity. So you science geeks out there, I know it's relativity, not really quantum, but it gives it to us in a way that we can kind of understand. What bothers me, and I said this to Sean off mic, is that it presents the same exact paradox and problematic paradox that we see in almost all time travel movies. And that's the grandfather paradox. It's what we see in Back to the Future. And let me just give it to you real quick and see if this bothers you. But I'm guessing, Jer and Eddie, you guys are going to say that you're not bothered by it at all. So here's the idea, right? He gets the coordinates for NASA to go and find NASA and become the pilot that saves the world, essentially. Mm-hmm. Because he has given himself the coordinates in the future, right? That he has given Murph those coordinates as a kid because he did it in the future when he's going through the fifth dimension. The problem is it's just that cycle. It's the grandfather paradox. And the grandfather paradox basically says that if you were to go back and kill your grandfather, you couldn't, because then you would never be born to grow up and go back in time to kill your grandfather.
Well, Brandon, what you don't understand is when you do that, the timeline skews into another.
We're not in Marvel. We're not in the Marvel multiverse, okay? We're talking about one through line right now.
We are.
Honestly, that's the only way that you can explain it. That's the only way you can explain it. However, but by doing that,
for our understanding,
by doing that,
I'm sorry.
I know.
No, I was bringing some levity.
No, you did. But no, this is something that really bothered me because I'm sitting there going like, okay, I get the physics of I love that they bring the textbook theory into a cinematic movie, into a popcorn movie, right? I get it. I love that. But the problem is it still doesn't take away from the fact that this nothing could have actually happened, because there needs to be an inception, no pun intended, event in order to establish the ability for him to do this. He couldn't have done it because he never was there in the first place to start it, because he didn't give it to himself until the future.
So
but he was there.
Yeah, what I got was that he started everything. That's what I got.
The only way to get rid of the grandfather paradox is to stop thinking of time as linear and start thinking of space and time being something independent, multidimensional. Right. Which, I mean, from a philosophical standpoint, I'm completely against that, but I understand exactly what you're saying as far as having this paradox. But we will always have this paradox on a linear timeline. If you go back and change the past, unless you were the person to actually do that in the first place and not go back, then you can't go forward.
It could have happened.
Couldn't have. It's chicken and egg, right? And so I totally get it. I'm
thinking it. Yeah.
Well, it didn't bother me as much as it bothered you, because I was lost in the other details of the movie that I thought were more obvious flaws on a Christopher Nolan vehicle that I expected him to be more, just better.
Polished.
I expected him to be better. Yeah. Because he's an auteur. He's one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest directors of our generation, if not the greatest director of our generation. And I just didn't feel like this one was quite up to, it was not as a home run that I was hoping for. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I feel like he did bit off more than he can chew with this one. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This was a Spielberg project for the longest time, and he dropped out of it, and he took control of it. So I feel like, he wanted to do something kind of like an ode to his daughter, from my understanding. Like, this is the love that I have for you here. And so I think he made a big swing at it. I think a lot of it does work. I think there's some parts of it where I'm just like, man, I wish he could have done something different. But you're talking about 10 years ago, like 10 years ago, Christopher Nolan. This guy, he's involved. He's Sir Christopher Nolan now.
I do think that this movie made Oppenheimer the greatest movie that year. I think that what he learned on this movie, he fixed with Oppenheimer. Because what I loved about Oppenheimer was the connections. I loved that you got full circle access. You got a 360 kaleidoscope of the event and the repercussions of the event and the emotional and the physics and the impossibility. And it was just all there for me.
Well, that's what people want, though. So people want to understand. They want the missing cues. Says, I would say this movie leaves the possibility of some people liking it leaves doors that are not open, and some people are okay with watching that. Like, it's the possibility of anything could happen on the other side of that door. So it depends on how you look at the movie. Because you want every answered question, you want every question answered.
I want more than half. More than half of
Brandon, let him finish.
That's Oppenheimer. You want everything, but with this movie, it definitely talks about you're jumping. You're thinking a little bit, something that has not been completed yet, even in this day and age. Like we're not even there to understand it. We don't understand if this even could be possible today. So he did something that I don't think we still don't understand if it's even possible.
I think it's a throwback to all the people that explored throughout our world and exploring, this is like kind of like an ode to the people that are fearless.
They do the impossible just as an everyday job. I get that. But I guess, Eddie, what I'm looking for, if you're going to have open doors, I don't mind it. I don't mind open questions. I don't mind even if it's just
answers.
No, if it's unexplained.
No.
I need it to feel intentional and not like they missed it. And I felt like he missed it as opposed to planting intentional seeds. Like, I love the answer in a movie when somebody's asking a question, a very smart person, what's going to happen? I don't know. Like that, and that was in Oppenheimer. He didn't know. He didn't know what was going to happen. But here's what we think is going to happen, but we don't know. That leaves this opening. I think he learned a lot. Yeah. I think he learned a lot.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. I just get that, like with like Anne Hathaway wanting to pick Edmonds over Mans, because technically deep down inside, there's a little underlying feeling of like, do I miss Edmonds? I'm in love with him. Great. So there's this other and Matthew McConaughey's character is like, you know what? But the last time you chose this, we chose wrong with this other last location. So it's just like you're picking out of character right now. So, we got to go with the data with this man. Like there's the little areas that I feel like it hits the answers.
It does. It's not all way.
Right. And here's my frustration. I more than anybody I know, and that includes the three of you guys, I love the unanswered, especially the ambiguous ending. I love it. I actually don't even have that much of a problem with him leaving. I have a problem with, and I know, Jer, I'm opening up the can of worms for you again. I have my problem is the reason why he's leaving to go find Brand. It's the way that it's presented to me and apparently to Sean is that this is for love, right? Because we get that whole speech about love, and then he's going off to find Dr. Brand. It's about love. So my problem isn't the unanswered question, Ed. It is the numerous amounts of unanswered questions and the fact that it doesn't root the film on a story and character level in anything that is really something that is interesting. I love, as a father, I love the idea of of sacrificing and the importance of sacrificing and the horrors of sacrificing and the desire to get back to your kids. I can 100% relate to that. But the problem is when that is the only through line that we get, the only emotional core that we get, and that is really the only relationship that we get, because the other doctor that they're on board with that ends up blowing up, right? I loved his character. I think I would have loved to have gotten some interaction with him. I would have loved to have gotten to know him. I would have loved to give Sean something he doesn't want, and that is more Matt Damon time so that we could actually feel about him, right? The problem is there is so much, and Jerry, you're right. He bit off way more than he could chew, because all we get is, instead of a really cohesive story, instead of a story that fleshes things out, we get, to me, little pockets of interesting story and interesting character, but nothing that's fully developed. And that's my problem.
I almost think this could have been a 2-part movie. And I don't say that lightly, because I would have really loved to dive deeper. And I felt like the subject matter didn't allow me to dive deep enough in the time given to really care about both the topic and the people.
I guess we just probably saw different films, because I actually thought I saw more of the connection between the father and the daughter. That's the moral driven of the story.
I agree.
It's not enough.
Maybe it's not enough, but I thought that was plenty of, like, the things that you would do and to make sure that, to keep your promise to your daughter and everything like that.
When he left her, she was 10, and I feel like she had to be at peace with the possibility of him never coming back home. But then, you know what? I feel like he will come back home. I'm not going to give up hope, but I'm going to still live my own life and answer this question on my side that I know can answer, that Dr. Michael Caine couldn't, complete.
Together, in a way, they were able to actually save mankind.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
that's exactly how I was looking at it. And now, listeners, we have reached the end of our review. Now it's time for each of the hosts to provide our score. Eddie, please provide with our scale. Right here.
Yes, I can. 0, the perfect movie. You don't need nothing to enjoy it. 1, feel good first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're in the Uber or lifting home. 4, rough morning to watch a Shane. I feel like you guys should have got rid of the word rough. 5, blackout, spring break, drunk. All right, if we're gonna change words here, guys, let's make words that
I used to like saying shit face, but whatever.
we can't say that now because we're
PG-13.
All right. So are we texting the scores? Is that what we're doing?
We can provide our score right here. This will be
Okay.
out. So listeners, you won't be able to see this. You'll see the aftermath. All right.
You're gonna hear something good of me.
All right. Write this down and let me know when you guys are ready.
This hurts my soul.
Hurts your soul.
Yeah. Because it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
I think you hit the mark.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
I feel like your grading scale of him is harder than regular movies, if you think about it.
Yeah, I agree.
That's personally.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's kind of where I thought it would be. So, as the great host would say, that's right where it should be. That's right where it should be.
Host Planet.
Shall I go first?
Please do.
Yeah. Go for it.
So I think Interstellar was a disappointing addition to what I think is otherwise a fairly good collection of movies. Everyone has their bad ones. I think Memento's out there with being bad too. So this is not my favorite film that Christopher Nolan has done, as evident by the review that I've just given. So I'm going to give it a 3.25, which is, I think, an below average movie, especially for Christopher Nolan. I do think, Eddie, I do grade Christopher Nolan. I set a different criteria for him, and I should, because he's one of the greatest directors of all time, and I expect better. So, Jeremiah.
I don't think Christopher Nolan's ever done a bad movie here. That being said, this is not one of my favorite Christopher Nolan movies, but I think this is one of his underrated movies here. I think this represents, taking the leap of faith, and it's a gorgeous movie to watch. I think it actually does work. I think Hans Zimmer's score is one of the best scores that you will ever hear. And you know what? I can watch this over again and get lost into every abyss and every wormhole and shit like that. I like this type of film. So you know what? It's a 1 for me, guys. 1 feel-good cocktail.
And Host Planet was a 3.25?
3.25, which you're Uber lifting home with an extra half a shot.
1 drink for me, guys.
So I'm going to just start off with the positive. I think cinematographically, this is a flawless movie. I think score-wise, music-wise, I think it's a flawless movie. I will give you guys that. To me, the problem became in conveying something that was just beyond the reaches of a 3-hour time constraint. If it was a mini series, it would have been good. If it was a full series, I think it would have been good because it would have had time to develop. And what we're missing here is a development. If I'm going to want to watch a space movie, then I'm going to go with the classics, which is why I wore my Star Wars shirt right here. I'm going to stay with that. This one was just the word that I kept coming back to, and this is what I'm going to leave us with, is convoluted. It was convoluted on a character and story level. And because of that, it hurts my heart because I will go out till my death and say that Christopher Nolan is a genius, but every genius has its Interstellar. So for me, this is I'm lifting, I'm Ubering. I'm giving it a 3.65. So it's a little bit lower than Sean, but 3.65 for me. So Eddie, kicking it over to you because I know that you're going to round out my bad choices.
You're Uber lifting home with a shot and even more.
And then I'm drinking a swig in the back of the Uber is really what I'm doing.
He's a slobber drunk in the back seat.
Sloppy drunk. He's one that would get kicked out now. With
the
new
side
rules
of the bottle,
of
and I'm licking it up just to get as much as I possibly can. That's really what.
Jesus,
that
it's 9 o'clock.
Is.
Are you really going to be drunk right now?
I mean,
AM what?
Somewhere.
Can I go ahead and go so we wrap this up? This is a little bit longer episode than we were planning, guys, for this season.
Time is relative. Time is relative.
Yeah, you're right with that. So personally, you know what? I'm going to keep this short. This film, I personally think it encourages everyone to travel beyond your own home. So I feel like it's telling you to, set goals and go for them and start your journey and achieve what you want in life. It's saying, step outside your comfort zone a little bit. I personally get that from this movie. Coop had to step outside some of his comfort zones, and he lost a lot of things to provide a possibility of saving humanity. And this also shows you, though, it's on the back end of it, he realized what he lost. It also shows love is very powerful, and you know what? It's powerful more enough beyond our own understanding and our own dimensions. Love could, I read something that said it could be past our understanding of time and space and past generations of distance. Love. For some reason, we could love our grandparents and they could be long gone 60 years ago. And you know what we're going to be the ghosts of our children in the future. So stuff like that makes me it hit home for me for the parent side of this movie. And the music just definitely is one of my favorite scores. So I give this a half a shot, a 0.25.
A 0.25.
That's about what I think he gave all the other zeros. So he's basically saying that's a 0 for Eddie. I mean, that's
0.25.
We're really
I
getting
don't give him any zeros. The only thing that I had issues with this movie is lack of oxygen and lack of food at certain points. I'm like thinking like they have to be running out, but you know what? Anyways.
Yeah. When we combine our score, well, I mean they can develop humans out of thin air. They can develop.
They might be able to. I'm not gonna lie. They might be able to.
100 years from now, I don't know what to say, man.
When we combine those scores,
anything's possible.
And divide by 4, what does Interstellar get an average rating of?
It gives us a great score, guys, of a 2.0375. That's a great score of 2.0375.
Sean, you wish you'd gone a little bit lower now? A little bit higher?
No. I think that gives us, it's right above, what's the score of that? Let me pull this up. It's right above Happy Buzz, barely above a Happy Buzz.
I was at a 4.5, by the way, just so you know. You guys talked me down from a 4.5. And Jeremiah, when we take that 2.3075, is that right? 2.3075.
0375.
Where does that put us on the list of films that we have reviewed thus far?
Number 54 on our list here.
It's number 54. So what is better than Interstellar?
Doom Part 1, Bad Times at the El Royale, Sneakers, 3:10 to Yuma, Some Like It Hot, Parasite, Fight Club, Young Frankenstein.
I don't agree with Parasite.
I don't agree with Young Frankenstein, but hey.
What is worse? What is worse?
Shitty ass movies are better than this damn movie.
What is worse than Interstellar?
In to Watch, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Goonies, Watchmen, Lawrence of Arabia, Quiet Place, John Wick.
Eddie, you are such a turncoat. You are such a freaking turncoat.
Wait. Can't wait to do Casablanca.
Watchmen was better than this, I think.
We're not. No, I'm not giving my greats to you anymore. No more greats are coming in.
No, he said like you can't look at my greats anymore.
Interstellar.
I have a soft spot. You can't have my new movies. Anyway, so I'm sorry, Jeremy. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So we've got Lawrence of Arabia. What else was worse?
Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. We have also it's a Quiet Place, John Wick 2, Tombstone. You mean that's where it's out of here?
Yikes. Okay.
We were hard of Tombstone.
All right. Well, I will say, like I always say, it's where it's supposed to be. So, and
you know what? You know why I like this movie? 2014, and maybe Brandon just doesn't appreciate it, but I do. It's the year I became a parent. So that's why I gave this.
Yeah, I became a parent that same year, and guess what? I actually
he still hates it.
Still don't feel a connection. My gosh,
still not his favorite movie. Sorry, still not his favorite movie.
Listen,
but it's what's so funny is like it's a Christopher Nolan movie, dude. It's like no matter what you're going to watch, it's going to have an impact on whatever we watch with cinema. It is what it is, man. It could be his worst movie. It could be his best movie. Christopher Nolan just has that power, dude.
He does. Jeremiah, with that said, what are we having next week?
I believe Brandon is going to take that role right here from me.
I am.
So, yeah, Brandon,
thank you.
Go for it, buddy.
All right. So next week, we're going to be reviewing Nosferatu, Robert Eggers' newest creep show. This film is only in theaters, and we can't tell you how important it is to continue to see movies as they're intended to be seen, and that is up on the big screen with digital sound, because there's nothing like walking into a lobby and hitting that wall of buttery popcorn smell and sitting down in a dark room and knowing that you're going to be entertained one way or the other. So I'm excited to talk about this one, and I hope that you guys are too.
Can't wait. I heard that there's a big dong in this movie.
Ed, we got some shout-outs?
Wow, how am I supposed to spill off what Jeremiah just said? Nope. No. We want to give a shout out to areas where we have listeners. So today we want to reach out and thank Orem, Utah. Thank you, Orem, Utah.
Me too, Utah.
Us too.
Chicago, Illinois.
Hey, Chicago, what's up?
Tampa, Florida.
Tampa, Florida, what's up?
And then Mexico City. Mexico City is what I have on my list.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mexico is international-ish.
Yep.
So we say gracias.
Me llamo Eduardo.
For this season, we really want to get some more listener participation. We've streamlined our whole process. So please, the only way to contact us now is through Instagram at the Gentleman Podcast. There you can see all of our updates on what movie's coming next, our Gentleman Weeklies, and then it'll direct you over to our YouTube page where you can see all that. You could direct messages right on Instagram, or you can leave us messages in the comments. But we really want to engage with you. We want to hear what you think. We want to get some ideas for what movies to do. And we want you to engage with our YouTube channel and hit that bell and subscribe and make sure that we're growing our YouTube channel. We're trying this year. We're trying to make a go of this as, hopefully some sort of a monetary investment, which would be fun. So at least to cover some costs. So additionally, we ask that you leave a review, a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Give us write it down. It'd be really helpful. We're really excited to bring you a combo of new films in theaters, classic movies, and some groundbreaking television shows like Stranger Things the final season of Stranger Things, season 2 of Wednesday, and The Last of Us, respectively, and maybe more. Please make sure you check us out on Instagram at the Gentleman Podcast. The dot means a lot. Get more details about every episode, our drinks, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much, and we just want to say cheers to everyone listening. Happy New Year, and let's start 2025 with a bang.
We're like,
cheers.
What year is this?
Here's to season 6, guys.
Cheers, gentlemen.